Good afternoon, all participants, Jogja Festivals Forum Expo 2021. Hello there, welcome back everyone. You are joining us in Symposium 2, which is going to discuss about diplomacy through festivals. But first of all, we would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to Board of Tourism Yogyakarta Special Region, Board of Culture Yogyakarta Special Region, the Ambarukma Group, Pekerja Event Jogja, the Gadi Kavian Gold, and also to all communities which involved in this event. Thank you so much. Okay then, it's time for us to follow Symposium 2, led by our moderator, Irma Chantily. Irma Chantily has 11 years of project management experience in the creative economy, arts, and culture. She deals with national and regional project management, partnership, and networking building. She taught at Jakarta Arts Institute and has curated several exhibitions in Indonesia and the UK, such as co-curating the OK Video in 2013, Jakarta Biennale in 2015, research-based residency and exhibition in Liverpool in 2017, among other things. And since 2018, her work involved in building digital products, startups ecosystem, sustainable tourism, and sustainable businesses. For a brief period of time, she once worked as a freelance consultant for sustainable tourism, and then she also worked at Labuan Bajo Tourism Authority as the head of domestic marketing. She currently works as Deputy Director of for Supernova Ecosystem, an ecosystem builder for sustainable businesses in jurisdiction level. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Irma Chantily. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello everyone. It's very nice to be able to moderate this session. Which is going to be very exciting. We have been joined by two very experienced and very interesting speakers. So the topic of the symposium for this afternoon is to gather insights around issues or challenges related to government policies faced by arts and cultural festivals in Indonesia. So without further ado, I will then introduce our first speaker. The first speaker is Sri Astari Rasjid. Hello, Ibu Astari. She is the former Indonesian ambassador to Bulgaria between 2016 to 2020. She's also a painter and a sculptor. Besides being an artist, Sri Astari has been an active player in the arts world. As the executive director of the 9th Jakarta Biennale, she agreed to curator Jim Supangkat's suggestion to introduce installation work for the first time and was an important mover as an executive of the committee for the seminal exhibition of contemporary art of the non-aligned countries in 1995. As a member of the Indonesia Art Foundation, Sri Astari also dynamically contributes to the education of young artists and development of art in Indonesia. In early January 2016, Sri Astari also was appointed as the ambassador of Indonesia to Bulgaria. Hello, Ibu Sri Astari. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Hello.
It's very nice to finally see you, Ibu. I've been hearing a lot about you, so it's actually a very exciting time for me.
Thank you.
So, yes, the floor is yours. Please, instigate us with interesting thoughts.
Thank you. Yes, I will try my best to do my talk. Oh, hello, Irma? Can we share screen?
Yes,
as a host? I would,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You are the co-host now, Ibu.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Irma. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Life is a festival. Let us celebrate it. The pandemic hopefully will be gone soon. Let us get ready for the new normal. I'm glad to be invited to Jogja Festivals Forum Expo, JFFE 2021, with Asian focus. My talk will be around 40 minutes. I will be speaking about strategic diplomacy through art and culture, from Asian to ASEAN Festival, a proposal to Asian countries. From my early age, I have always wanted to be a professional artist. Fortunately, I succeeded to present my art in the national as well as international stages. It was actually against my mom's doctrine, who was always reminding me that being an artist, you would always stay hungry. However, my artistic life had led me in the path to become the Indonesian ambassadors to Bulgaria, North Macedonia, and Albania in 2016 to 2020. I appreciate the trust of President Joko Widodo and Her Excellency Ibu Retno Marsudi. Eastern Europe is the cultural hub for Europe. Therefore, to carry out a cultural mission for our rich culture, Indonesia, I formulated my mission strategy as cultural diplomacy. Cultural diplomacy is not something new. It has always been there, but as a mission strategy, it requires daily hard work. People interact with each other based on their cultures. Cultural diplomacy is a very well-known practice of countries and societies which were positioned on the crossroad between different cultures. Artists, traders, knowledge seekers, missionaries, political representatives, and travelers who were interacting with other people in foreign lands have been initiators of cultural diplomacy in the world. Indonesia is a good example for cultural exchange. We became the biggest Muslim country as the result of cultural exchange. In the modern world, as it was in the past, many countries even tried to get influence among the world population by promoting their movies, music, lifestyles, culinaries, and most importantly, their philosophies and religious beliefs, which indicates the power of culture influence. Culture diplomacy is a daily activity based on formal or informal interactions, especially in this globalized time. In a diplomatic formal mission, implementing cultural diplomacy will enhance people-to-people contact. With the government support, this is an effective approach to learn about the other nation's historical, cultural, and political background. This will then create a better understanding, which will result in a better business and political negotiations. All these interactions also happen informally. During the start of the pandemic in Sofia, 3 months before the end of my mission, I managed to compile my diplomatic experiences in a book entitled Art of Diplomacy. In the book, I wrote, every Indonesians are informal ambassadors of our country. During the pandemic COVID-19 time, I managed to launch the book for my farewell with a strict health protocol attended by not more than 100 people, with the Bulgarian Vice President as guest of honor. Before the pandemic time, Indonesian Embassy in Sofia promote Indonesia with a yearly festival program entitled Wonders of Indonesia, which includes Indonesian contemporary art exhibitions, heritage textiles, artifacts and jewelry exhibitions, fashion shows, Indonesian film festivals, music and dance performance, and food festivals. As for the limited budget, we tried to be creative, to collaborate with the national galleries or local museums, local film festival organizers. When you have good products to offer, they like to work with you together. You may want to build good connections with the local fashion week organizers, hotels to get their cooperation to provide free rooms, ballrooms, conference rooms. This is surely helpful. And to bring the best promotion, and to bring the best production from Indonesia, we can also propose our local Indonesian banks who has their overseas branches. And last but not least, we could also ask the help of the Ministry of Culture, which is Kemendikbudristek, for support. Sometimes not in the form of financial support, but it can be in the form of cultural performances, film, etc. In Bulgaria, I wanted to make something for ASEAN countries, but we only had Indonesia and Vietnam in the diplomatic mission in Bulgaria. That was the reason why I started thinking about uniting Asia as a whole, as we are Asians. Indonesia has played, after all, Indonesia has also played an integral part of Asia. Our strategic location has encouraged international trade and diplomacy since the early centuries. Asian nations have always culturally influenced each other. We Asians have a lot in common based on culture, religion, ethnicities, interests, and visions. Therefore, in 2017, I initiated the Asian Festival in Sofia, involving my entire fellow Asian ambassadors based on the Asian Games membership. In my artwork 20 years ago, I had a piece of painting running Beijing and running Jakarta, predicting the rise of Asia. I also have another triptych painting entitled The Contestants, a painting about China, India, and Indonesia. We Asians know our strengths and capabilities. The Asian Festival in Sofia united Asians to present their great and rich culture. Asian countries have the same Eastern spirit, which will be the leading force in the future. Uniting them together means sowing the seeds of unity, tolerance, harmony, and peace. This was my aim, and I'm glad to see it fulfilled during my term. I wanted all Asians to be united to present Asia as a whole in a full package festival. By promoting Asia, each individual country will certainly share the spotlight. President Rumen Radev, the Bulgarian president, while opening the 2018 Asian Festival, mentioned the power and importance of Asia. He spent nearly 2 hours at the site and visited each and every booth. More than 12,000 people came to the festival in Sofia's Borisova garden. The Asian Festival was very successful because of the collaborative teamwork of all Asian countries. Together, we are stronger. To keep it exciting, we carry a different theme each year. We started with Bringing Asia Closer in 2017, officiated by the Bulgarian Vice President and participated by 11 countries. The Colors of Tradition was the theme of the 2018 Asian Festival, officiated by the Bulgarian President, Rumen Radev, participated by 14 Asian countries. The theme of 2019 was the Magic of Asia, officiated by the Bulgarian Vice President again, with 15 countries participating. Unfortunately, the 2020 edition of Asian Festival, Treasure of Asia, was canceled because of the pandemic COVID-19. In this event, the Sultan of Jogja and the Bulgarian king were supposed to be our guest of honor. I came personally to Jogja before the pandemic to arrange for the visit of the Sultan, Hamengkubuwono X, for the sister province and sister cities MOUs between Yogyakarta province and Plovdiv province, and also the cities. Along with the business forum and cultural performances, they would come to Bulgaria. It didn't happen at my time, but the future is ahead. The Asian Festival of Sofia represented Asia as a whole. I always use the allegory of the rainbow. The rainbow is an entity comprising of many different colors. Asia is also the one with many different tastes and colors. The message of the Asian Festival is harmony and, as Indonesians say, unity in diversity. The event became a union of Asians in Bulgaria to make people-to-people contact. So far, this approach is the most effective way to connect with the host country. Asian Festival was a practical diplomatic move. It could successfully bring India and Pakistan, Iran and Saudi together in one event. In the same year, we witnessed also the North and South Korean ambassadors sat on one table, witnessed by the Bulgarian president long before their president met at the borders. The growth of tourism and industry is a direct result of the festivals. More people of the host countries are now exposed to Asia as a holiday destination because of our collective promoting programs. Asia is also a land of business opportunities. Once the cultural connections are established, people's trust and understanding will increase. The trust is fundamental in developing trade and other endeavors. Understanding leads to tolerance, tolerance to acceptance, acceptance to peace, peace to harmony, and the dominance of the power of the good. I would like to thank Ibu Mendu Retno Marsudi for visiting us in Bulgaria at the end of 2019, where we officially presented our Indonesian permanent collection, heritage textiles, artifacts, and jewelry at the National Gallery Museum in Sofia, as well as also attending the Indonesia-Bulgaria Business Forum. Based on my experience in Bulgaria, I have a proposal for ASEAN countries. We are bigger than Europe in terms of population. We have many potentials in different sectors. Our countries are resourceful and our culture ties are rooted in our shared history. In the capital of our countries, with arrangements and coordination of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs or any private NGOs or cultural institutes, ASEAN countries can have ASEAN festivals. As we are 10 countries, each country can host an Asian festival every year. The embassies can collaborate and make exhibition, while creative industries and small businesses such as UMKM, cultural sectors can also participate actively. The embassies do not need big budget for it, as it is only a matter of arrangement and coordinating between the embassies. The result of such festival in Asian capitals indeed would bring our people together and make us stronger to play our deserved role in the global scene. But of course, in this pandemic time, let us take this opportunity to prepare ourselves with what we have and what we can do and what we have now to get ourselves ready for the new normal. Let us make ASEAN a festival so we all can celebrate together to become more stronger than ever. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Ibu Astari. That was a very interesting elaboration from your side, using your experience as the ambassador in Bulgaria to promote Indonesia in Asia through culture and arts. We've heard from Ibu Astari that from 2017 to 2019, she has successfully managed to present the Asian Arts and Culture Festival in Bulgaria, initially with 11 countries participating, and then it adds up to 15 countries, yes. And I do like when you said something about how all Indonesians are basically the supporters or the diplomats of Indonesian arts and culture. And I think it also applies to everyone in Asia because of our sort of shared roots. Yes. So thank you so much, Ibu Astari. And let us now move forward to our second speaker, who will be talking about the sustainability diplomacy through festival. So if Ibu Astari was talking about the strategic diplomacy through arts and culture, now we're talking about the sustainability diplomacy through festival. And our second speaker is Arnaud Kokosky, Deforchaoux. So he is the artistic director of the Tong Tong Festival. Hello, Arnaud.
Good morning from Amsterdam.
Good morning. So Arnaud is an artistic director or international relation manager of Tong Tong Fair. This cultural festival takes place at the Tong Tong Fair since 1959. It's the biggest Eurasian fair in the world. The event is a sensory-stimulating blend of cultural festival, exhibition, and food fest rolled into one, held in an archipelago of tents and stands. One of the biggest attractions of the Tong Tong Festival, with hundreds of performances spread over 12 days. The International Tong Tong Festival takes place in 4 theaters on the fair side. The Tong Tong Podium is where the major music, dance, and fashion artists would perform. And Arnaud is specialized in Balinese dance after his study in classical ballet, modern, and jazz dance. He made choreographies with AO Head International Dance Theater. He worked with Balinese and Japanese dancers and musicians in the Netherlands, Canada, the US, and Indonesia. So we will be hearing about his presentation. So Arnaud, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, Irma, and thank you for the invitation to join this Jogja Festivals Forum and Expo 2021. I'm glad to hear also that Ibu Sri Astari Rasjid is an artist herself as well. I think that helps also to work in our field, to be ambassadors, as Ibu Astari also said, that all people can be ambassadors for culture, and to know how important it is to have cultural diplomacy. About the Tong Tong Fair, as you said already, Irma, it started in 1959, and so in 2020 we would have celebrated the 62nd edition, but due to COVID, of course, we had to cancel it. And we canceled it already 3 times because we wanted to postpone it, and hopefully the 62nd edition will be next year, 2022. The last event in 2019, we had 80,000 visitors in 11 days. So we grew from, in 1959, it was an event of 4 days, originally organized to gather people coming from Indonesia as the mixed Eurasian people who came from Indonesia to the Netherlands. But we grew to an 11 days event with, as I said before, 80,000 visitors. And we are glad that we are helped through this pandemic period by the Ministry of Health, Welfare and Sport to survive. So we are seen as cultural heritage because, well, of course, we are more than 60 years old and we are an international festival, working a lot with, of course, Indonesia, and other Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Cambodia, the Philippines, and Vietnam. So mostly countries in Southeast Asia, but Indonesia, of course, because it's our the country where our parents come from is very important. As I said, the cultural exchange is very important. Mostly from Indonesia, we work with dancers, musicians, and theater actors, but also writers and people from science. So we work together with the government, Indonesian governments, but also governments from Malaysia and the other Asian countries. But also with regencies and provinces and cities. Like, for instance, we worked with Jogja. A couple of years ago, there was a Keroncong group, and the Sultan sent also dancers and gamelan from the court. But also very modern artists. We had such as the artist Oli Love Hates Love. I don't know if you know him, but he is a street artist, actually, you can say. There are lots of work in the streets of Yogyakarta who he painted. So for us, it's very important to show not only the Dutch people, our visitors, but also other visitors coming from countries around the Netherlands, for instance, Belgium, Germany, and France, that the Asian culture is vivid. So it's, of course, the traditional arts are very important to show, but we also show what happens now. So next to the traditional dances and wayang and all the other arts, it's very important for us to show also the modern, how do you say it? The modern times in the Asian countries. Because I think when you haven't traveled to the Asian countries, in Europe, there is still this opinion of that Asian countries are far away, but also maybe some historical countries. And we do that by not only showing traditional music, dance, and theater, but also where there are mixed projects. We work together with, for instance, Balinese dancers and musicians with Dutch artists, but also we did projects with Balinese artists with Hawaiian American artists. So it would show the audience more of fusion and that people nowadays can work together. I think that is very important also for the cultural diplomacy, to see that artists and people from different countries can connect through culture. Now it is, of course, very difficult to travel from Asia to the Netherlands and back and forth. I visited several Asian countries, of course, Indonesia, but also Malaysia and South Korea. And for me, that was also very important, of course, to see what happens at festivals and conferences in Asia. To know also what the goals are for Asian countries to travel abroad. And I think we in Europe have to be aware what also the needs are in Asia and why Asian artists want to travel to Europe, to the West. What can we offer them and what can they expect from us? So it is very important to know that at forehand, so the expectations will be, how do you say it? Well, I think artists have dreams. We all have dreams, and to connect is one of the dreams. And in what way we connect, it helps a lot, not only economically, but also politically. And so fulfilling our dreams is one of the nicest things we can do at the Tong Tong Fair. I think for now, and of course, everybody, I hope, in all Asian countries, but from all over the world, are welcome to visit the 62nd edition in The Hague next year from the Tong Tong Fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnaud. So I think there is an interesting recurring theme that was mentioned both by Ibu Sri Astari and by you, is that the collaboration bit is actually quite important. And you also mentioned that in the festival that you develop, you sort of encourage people, the artists, to actually collaborate, so the audience can see sort of the fusion between two cultures. And I think that could be a very interesting take. So after hearing presentation from both speakers, I would like to invite the audience, the participants of the symposium, to throw questions, because we have entered the question and answer section. So if you do have any questions, please drop your question through this link. Can somebody from the organizer drop the link? Or I'll just mention it. It's bit.ly/symposium2 JFFE 2021. You could also use the chat box. Yes, that's the one on the chat box. Drop your question through this link, and I will read it to the speakers so that they could answer. And while waiting, I think, if I may, it's actually quite interesting to sort of dwell on the topic of collaboration as well. So one of the questions that remains is how do you think we can sort of strategize and mitigate the implementation of festivals in today's situation? Because Ibu Astari mentioned that the festival in Bulgaria was cancelled, and you also, Arnaud also mentioned that the festival has been cancelled for 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. How would you, in your respective work, would develop strategies to implement the festival in today's situation, which then includes sort of the resilience and the sustainability of organizing arts and cultural festival?
Yeah, I think it's important also to have this virtual connection, what is used many times already during these days during the pandemic. I think it is also good to see that you can connect through the internet. Of course, it's easy. It's not as warm, I think, as a real festival. But I visited a lot of Asian countries, and I joined the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival. I was connected with London and Jogja during a festival around movies. So there are possibilities, but as I said, of course, it's nicer to connect in with real people. But like now, we are connected also through the internet. So this is a big possibility. What I think is for the near future is very important, as Ibu Astari also said, there is this event in Bulgaria. And I think working with the embassies, the Asian embassies, it's very good if all these embassies also know who are traveling in Europe. You know, it makes it easier to invite artists when you know they are close by already. And it is a waste of time also for the climate. It's better not to fly back and forth from Europe to Asia all the time, but knowing that, for instance, writers or dancers are already in the neighborhood during, of course, around the same time as our festival. It would be very nice to join in.
Ibu Astari, probably you'd like to comment on that?
Yes. Before the pandemic, of course, it was so much easier for us to organize festivals and as well as also events. The Kemendikbud-Ristek has the programs, all throughout the world, where they sent groups of dancers, special dancers, such as during the Europalia at the time, the Dirjen Kebudayaan sent their dancers for the opening of the festival. So they have a program actually set up as a karavan budaya, ya. Jadi mereka nanti akan mengirimkan groups of performers that will travel at one go to different countries. So that's a good, actually, a way to tap on their plans. But then the COVID, of course, we cannot do much. And as an artist, like me, I came back to Jakarta and I automatically went back to my artist profession. I got invitations to do so many projects. First it was, but mostly the festivals such as PKN, Pekan Kebudayaan Nasional, they also have it as daring, ya. Jadi before that, they were planning to have it offline, but then at the end, they still cannot because of the PPKM was still high at the time. But I managed to join that exhibition, which is in a daring form. But there was another exhibition called ICAD, Indonesian Contemporary Art and Design. They also invited me for their exhibition, but they managed to do it offline for their exhibition. So there are many chances, actually. And yesterday, last week, I was also having my performance, actually still also virtual, in Jogja. I had it in one of the sites called Warung Boto. I managed to have the dance, the my Golek installations and all that at the site, and having it virtual. So it was taken as a video form, and so it's starting now. It was okay, but they just don't let us have the actual performance with audiences, not yet. And I think it's time now, while we are still in not a full form yet, as offline, we can start preparing ourselves as artists or festivals organizers to plan on something in the coming year. Next year there will be, of course, activities such as G20 meetings. They will have some cultural program there. And in the 2023, because I'm in contact with the Kemendikbud, they were also planning to have the Qatar Indonesia Cultural Year in 2023. I should say this year because maybe anybody can also tap on that festival. this is important also because it's a big festival. It's going to be 1 year in 2023. So all the organizers and artists can look forward for that. They can start planning their program for the coming events.
Yeah. So if Ibu Astari mentioned a different range of sort of a combined virtual and offline events in Indonesia, I was wondering what is the case in the Netherlands with you, Arnold, and Tong Tong Festival. Have you, Tong Tong Fair, have you done anything sort of like hybrid or something that tried to sort of fill the gap just to make, you know, the spirit going on, even though, you know, it's pandemic?
Yeah, that's a good question. Of course, because we also have a fair and a huge food court, that makes it not possible to organize it because of the new rules in the Netherlands. But we organized in cooperation with the Erasmus Huis in Jakarta, an event which was called Tong Tong meets Erasmus Huis, with artists, musicians mostly, who have a connection with Indonesia, with the Indonesian background, here in The Hague. So we had an afternoon and an evening. So that was also to keep the audience a little bit staying with us, of course. And we tried to organize more little events during this pandemic period. And of course, we have a magazine also. And this month we will bring out a magazine called Batik, a glossy magazine which will be for sale. And it is on, well, of course, as the title says, the topic on Batik, with the history of Batik as well, but also Dutch designers and Indonesian modern designers who use Batik in their fashion, because also fashion is very important for our fair. So that's these are the things we can do now. We hope, of course, that in the future we can organize the Tong Tong Fair as a total.
Yeah. What about with other countries? I mean, the examples you mentioned are mostly with Indonesia. I was wondering with other countries, what have you been doing during the pandemic?
You mean being in contact with other festivals, you mean?
Yeah, or something like the collaboration between Tong Tong Fair with the Erasmus Huis in Indonesia. I was wondering if that also happened in other countries in Asia.
Till now, I was not in contact with other cultural houses, for instance, but as I told you, the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival, for instance, I saw some, and there is the Belém festival also by Agung Gunawan, and the SIPA, of course, the Solo International Performing Arts. I visited them also virtually. So that's in a way very nice, because you can meet also your friends in this world. What I think is to know that that festivals are very important, because it is very easy for people to come to a festival. Sometimes it's even easier for average person to go to a festival rather than go to a theater or to a museum. You know, it's more open, I think. And for the Tong Tong Fair, for instance, it's a real family thing. you know, old people, young people, babies even come and are surprised by having also the smell of Asia in the Netherlands, because we sell also, for instance, durian.
That sounds awesome.
It's very nice because, as you know, probably there are lots of Indonesian people living here. Asian people live in the Netherlands as well, and we are very fortunate to have lots of Indonesian restaurants and tokos here, and Asian food is everywhere. But to enter our fair side in these tents, and they smell durian and trasi.
Yeah.
So it's very nice, you know, and but also is it called dupa? Dupa, you know, when there are performers praying before they start to perform. So all these, the mixture of smells and all the people also, you know, we have brown people, black people, yellow people, white people coming together. And I think that's also what Ibu Astari mentioned, you know, about the rainbow. Everybody is welcome at our fair. And that is the importance of culture. And our organization is very proud that next year also we can let all the cultures join in the Tong Tong Fair.
Yeah, so arts and culture and the festivals are bringing people together. That's the beauty.
That's
of
the beauty.
International festivals, exactly. I just wanted to sort of carry on with the cultural event. Was it Ibu Astari? Caravan Budaya cultural event. Yes, I think I've heard about that a couple of years ago when I, working in one of the international organization of arts and culture in Indonesia. I heard they were trying to launch it, but I sort of didn't kept in the loop, and I didn't realize that it was actually already happened. And that's actually quite interesting. So do you know this, Arnaud, about this opportunity, that there are like a group of Indonesian artists traveling across Europe that you can actually access?
Ibu Astari mentioned, of course, Europalia. At that time, it was December, January, February, the period that the Tong Tong Fair is not happening. So I worked for Tong Tong with the Europalia in The Hague, where we had a program of musicians in the Nieuwe Kerk at that time. It's a church where there are performances as well. So there was Dangdut, and there was Jogja Hip Hop Foundation. So it was very nice also to join in to work together with another festival like Europalia. And there are more festivals, of course, working with Indonesian artists, like, for instance, now Eko Supriyanto was a month ago here in Utrecht, the city of Utrecht. And I was lucky enough to get the opportunity by Erasmus Huis, who asked me to make a short movie on the tour of Eko Supriyanto in Utrecht. It will be shown probably in the beginning next year in the Erasmus Huis. The small movie.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there is this connection between festivals as well, and I think for cities, for instance, Jogja, which is very nice that the festivals in Jogja work so closely together. That's why you are called Jogja Festivals, of course. Yeah. I pronounce it very Dutch, I think, festivals. But I think it's very important also for the DNA of a city to have festivals. and that's also a diplomacy, I think, to have festivals, that is the character of a city, but you can have a character also as a human being, but if you are on your own, there's no point to have a character. You need other characters as well. So that's why it is very important to work together, and not only with the Dutch festivals, but I think it would be very nice to work with more festivals. So the Tong Tong Fair would love to see more of the Jogja festivals, the Indonesian festivals, but also from the other Asian countries.
So I wanted to sort of respond to what Arnaud just said about the importance of network, but I would like to hear from Ibu Astari first, if you have anything to say to respond to Arnaud's comments.
Yes, what Arnaud said is true. You know, we need to collaborate. You know, we need to work together with other entity, especially those festivals elsewhere. Like I was privileged at the time to get from Europalia, the Director General sent dancers, 15 dancers of Saman from Saman Gayo at the time, dari kampung di Aceh ya, bagus sekali. It's a very original thing. It was supposed to be for the pembukaan Europalia. So I managed to get that dance for my festival, and it worked. They came to my place first. I was privileged to do that before the opening at Europalia. So, and I think it was very successful. I only provide them with accommodation. So in working with other part, you can always reduce your expenses and getting the best things. At the time, we were planning to do that for the whole East European, Eropa Tengah dan Eropa Timur ya. Jadi setiap ada event bisa keliling. Tapi ya itu, setelah itu nothing happened, nothing really happened. But there are some festivals from folklore festivals, you know, in Bulgaria at the time, where students from universities they come to our country, to Bulgaria, to perform, and they won also awards, you know, of folklore festivals every year. So this will be also good because we can also get them for our own events. And we just have to be communicating with the sources in Indonesia also, and to get the information who are going there and all those things, so we can arrange something for them also. And also not only from Indonesia, but there are, say for instance, there is a conductor, actually Indonesian conductor, who lives in Hamburg. His name is Adrian Prabowo mungkin namanya ya, but he's called Adrian Prababa. He is one of the best conductor in Europe. And I heard about him coming to the Bulgarian hall to perform. So I connect myself with the hall, the Bulgarian hall, so I can make that also as an event of Indonesian embassy, collaborate together. We'll set up the dinner, we sell the tickets, you know, and so it was very successful. We always have a good impact. Every year he would come and I would have a concert with Indonesian born conductor. That is also a way, yeah. You have to have a network here and there. So once you get one, you know, you get for another one also through connections.
Sort of like your job is sort of to connect all the dots and make things easier to create something, and then just join forces, right? Yeah. So what's interesting is, you know, collaboration, the importance of network. I think it came up quite often in our discussion. And you know, Jogja Festivals, I was quite privileged to actually sort of see from afar how Jogja Festivals were born a couple of years ago. And the spirit is to actually collaborate. So instead of working all alone independently, they decided to join forces, work together as a team, to promote Yogyakarta, because they have the same goal as the diplomacy to promote Jogja through festivals, through arts. So it has been very interesting to see the progress that they've made. But we've been talking about the importance of network between festivals, or between the artist or the management side of things. I was wondering, what are your thoughts about the importance of network such as this, not only for the festival organizations, but also for the respective governments?
You want? Okay. Can I say something?
Yes.
This Jogja Festival Forum Expo is very important. Actually, it will be I think it will be a significant, kind of festival coming from Jogja. It's just that you need to inform them, to inform the world through the KBRI, for instance. Especially during this pandemic time, everybody wants to be in the. I mean, so easy to get to the offline. I mean, online forum or discussions like this. You just need to inform them more early in advance. Okay, so Pak Heri Pemat kan I mean, all these years, I have also been working with him because I know that he's from the right sources. So if I need anything, I would call Heri Pemat to help me out with things for my own, events there. So we just need to promote it more of this event. It's very interesting. I guess many people would do it, but as long as you do it far in advance, like a month before at least, to inform them about this event, these festivals.
Yeah, noted.
I would like to add something as well, because if you want to be an international festival, it's really important also to have an international audience, of course.
Yes.
And for instance, we would like to invite all Asian festivals to join in to have an information stand, because mostly there is also information stands at the Tong Tong Fair, for instance, by provinces or the country, Indonesia or Malaysia, so there are possibilities. Also the KBRI, the ambassador sometimes opens our festival. Even the Queen opened twice. Our Queen Beatrix opened our festival twice. But to come back to your question, I think it's very important, for instance, if Jogja Festivals know their dates already and have publicity programs or posters or whatever, we can work together to promote each other. We did it also with the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival. We mostly are in May. Now we don't know yet the dates because all the festivals are maju mundur. What is maju mundur?
Coming back and forth.
Yeah, so we don't know exact the dates yet, but if possible, it's good to promote each other all over the world. And I think especially in the Netherlands, we are one of the few festivals who work with Asian countries, Asian artists. Most of the festivals here are focused on Africa, South America, and not on Asia. So we are the only one who every year have Asian themes: Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and others. So I think for festival organizers, it's really good to join us, and we join you.
And to also probably work with the embassies and related government agencies, yeah.
Yeah, we are in contact with most of the embassies in the Netherlands, of course, but for instance, Singapore has an embassy or a function in Brussels. So we work together, and we invite always all the ambassadors and cultural attaches to our event, and most of them come also to see us. But there can be done more, of course, cultural-wise. And I think it's very important for the relationship between our countries.
Yeah. You're right, Arnaud. It's very important. I consider that this festivals, is a way for us to join forces together with other countries, and also to reduce the budget. If we do things together, instead of making Indonesian festival, you have to take all the burden together, but doing it together with other countries will lessen the cost, that is for sure. And we will get more promoted, of course, through each country's connections, So I think in Indonesia, the ASEAN countries can do that. There are 10 of them, if I'm not mistaken. They can make an ASEAN festival here in Jakarta, and the host can be, or the organizer can be between the respective embassies. It will be successful. If you see, I'm from the old days, I also see the Women's International Club, for instance. This is the real old bazaar thing. The bazaar is a big bazaar in Indonesia, in Jakarta, consists of all countries from all over the world, and who are in Indonesia. They have 2 days of events at the Jakarta, apa sih namanya? Jakarta itu JCC ya? JICC. JCC. They had it for 2 days, and it's always packed with people. So when they unite together, it will be successful. And I think they're making a lot of money. Each countries bring their own products and culture and all those things to the bazaar. This is just a simple example. Yeah. And it's very successful. This is how I learned. I saw that festivals would always bring more success together with other countries. So this is a way for us to learn also from that. And ASEAN being 10 countries, of course, they can do it too. The Indonesians, they travel around the world, but when the international bazaar came, they would all line up, and they would all wanted to be first at the first day of the bazaar, just to buy their products, which they also sell it in the mall, everywhere else, in the supermarket, all these products of cheese and all those things. But the coming together of nations, is very important, I guess, through the festivals. So this is what we can learn. Even ASEAN, even Asian countries in Indonesia, through the Asian Games, I took that from the Asian Games members. So we also include the Middle Eastern countries, and that is quite fun, to have them all together. Even they're fighting, even India and Pakistan was fighting. They always come to me and said, "Hey, how come my booth is not better than India?" The India would complain about Pakistan and all those things, but they're together in the same festival. This is how we bring together all the countries that are in conflicts together, to have them more tolerant to each other, like Saudis and Iran and all those countries. They're together there, whether they like it or not. So this is the power of togetherness in festivals.
Yeah. I think when we're working in arts and culture sector, we sort of know that how working through arts and culture can actually bring people together despite their differences. But sometimes for people out of this sector who doesn't really understand like what are we doing, they sort of miss the steps from cultural diplomacy to something that you mentioned. You know, it's actually a good business opportunities, because then from culture you understand each other, you
Of
build
course,
trust, and
yes.
then you build businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
then in the kind of like the art market, people actually, you know, spend money there. That there's this gap that people sort of overlook. And I was just
Yes.
wondering whether you, Arnold, and Ibu Sri Astari have been experiencing sort of like not rejection, but difficulties in trying to work with governments, in other government agency that doesn't really work with arts and culture when you're trying to get them support, because
Mm-hmm.
they don't see that connection.
I think it's everywhere in the world where there is a lack of money. It's always the arts who are the
First being cut.
first being cut, you know, and it's quite difficult also to prove how important the arts are economically, of
Mm.
course. But I think nowadays people start to understand, especially also maybe thanks to COVID, because the theaters, the museums, everything was closed. Um, so we felt how we missed it because it was not open. Unfortunately, we had one of the ministers of healthcare here in the Netherlands, who said, "Well, you know, you can put it in a CD or a DVD, and you can see art and listen to music." So that helped a lot.
Okay.
Mm,
It's totally a completely different experience, obviously.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
What
Well,
about you, Ibu Sri Astari? Have you ever experienced difficulties in working with government
yes,
regarding that?
yes, yes. I had an experience once when I was going to exhibit the Indonesian maestros collection of Galeri Nasional Indonesia. I wanted to bring all the maestros' paintings to the museums there, I mean, to the National Gallery there to exhibit it. Um, they really give us a hard time in giving us the permit, because they
Mm.
said you have to have this permit, that permit. It was an atakarne or something like that. That is, we have to go through Kadin. Can you imagine? I said, what for? For promotion of Indonesian products, you know, overseas, you have to go through Kadin. I said, this is artwork, art pieces. This is National Gallery. So I was talking to the National Gallery director at the time. I said, I have only very limited time, because they kept postponing. They kept um, connect us to the wrong person, you know, in Kadin and all those things. And I finally decided to tell the director of Galeri Nasional Indonesia. I said, "Do you want to proceed with this? Because I only have one more week at least, yeah, to prepare this exhibitions that they have already planned for this, you know, and it's difficult to have the trust from museums and galleries there, you know, if you have already promised that you would do it." So finally, I called the director and I said, "Can we proceed with this? I'll take the responsibility," I said. So we cut down all the, I have to say this, but it happened. I cut down the insurance, the permit. I just go through it with the letter from the Indonesian ambassador of Bulgaria. So I just give them the letter from myself. I signed it and I said, you know, this is for our event, and it works. But you also have to have the good connection with the foreign ministry there in the respective country. At that time, I have a lot of connections with them. I just called one of the protocol. I said, and I need a letter to get this Indonesian collection of maestro paintings from the from the airport to let it in with your letter. And they said, I need it badly. I need it like, it's coming today and it's there. I need it now. I have only 2 more days to display the artwork. And then they give me, okay, with 5 minutes, you send your driver, take the letter, things like that, you know. So they got the letter so I can get through the custom clearance. And I thought, okay, you know, what about going back, returning back to Indonesia? But apparently with the letter from the embassy, we can, from the ambassadors, you know, that this is a special case, it can get through. So I don't have to pay very, very expensive insurance for that. It can be 2 million or something, you know, so it is ridiculous. And we don't have the money, I said. So I made it happen. But again, you have to have that connection and the trust from the respective countries, authorities.
Wow. Okay. So the trust is also between the government agencies. Yes.
Yeah, you just have to be gaul, you know, with every aspect of the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
So gaul is like very popular, Arnaud.
It's not popular.
Yeah.
It's you have to have.
Well, not popular, but like, you know,
You have to build that
those
trust,
people.
to build that
Yes.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to be
it's a
active.
network.
Yes.
It's the network
It's
as
a
well.
network.
And
Exactly.
and what I think is also that integrity, you know, and passion, that helps a lot. If people know that you are passionate and work from integrity, people will believe you, you know, and we are not, that's one of the things. There is this dirty word being commercial in the arts, but we need money also to make things happen, you know, and so many people think, well, you know, originally I'm a dancer and people think it's a hobby.
Exactly like me. They think that I'm
you
a
like,
hobby. It's an artist.
do you like to dance? Yes, I like to dance. That's why it's also my profession, you know, but lots of common people think it's only a hobby. So you like it, so you don't have to be paid. And so for a cultural festival, it's also very difficult because, and especially also, maybe it's also because we have this Asian connection, and that people think, well, it's about food, you know, why do we pay entrance to get food? But we have a cultural festival as well. And if you want to enter, you know, you have to pay the entrance because we have to pay the dancers, or, you know, and we need also the sponsorship of the Asian countries. Indonesia is sponsoring most of our artists, and, you know, the stands are paying. It's not for free. We are not mushrooms who come up from the field.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think the notion of being commercialized or being commercial needs to sort of shift it, because it's not a dirty word. I mean, you need to get paid. Ibu Astari needs to be paid, you know, for the professional services.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, I just hope that from now on, you know, all the other embassies, for instance, in KBRI di mana-mana juga, you know, they have their pensos booth namanya, penerangan dan sosial budaya yang lebih diaktifkan. Saya aktifkan sekali saat itu ya orang-orangnya. They like it, you know. You just have to motivate them to do the job and to always be creative. And I also have even the Bulgarians, you know, at the time were so excited because they dance also. The embassy staff also dance and all those things. They love it. Cultural always bring,
I would like to add to that as well, because compliments also to the embassies here, the Indonesian embassy in The Hague. They are very cultural minded. Of course, now due to COVID, but at several events, cultural events, I met diplomats from the Indonesian embassy, the former ambassador Papuja.
Yeah. Oh, my friend.
What,
the same term.
we danced together, you know,
Oh,
at the Tong
wow.
Tong Fair.
Oh, that's
he
fun.
performed, yeah, he performed topeng keras. I performed topeng tua, of course, tua. So, you know, and what Ibu Astari also said, it's very important who is working for the embassy. Of course, it's not necessary that the defense a person has to dance. It would be nice, but
yeah.
The mind of how important culture is, arts and culture, yeah, is very important for the diplomatical connection between countries.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
because
agree.
if I can add a little bit, because of this cultural thing, you know, that I did all of my mission years, you know, I managed to increase the trade value between Indonesia and Bulgaria by 330% at the time. So it is also because of cultural diplomacy, I think. You know, when you know each other, when they know you also come from a country that has a rich culture, and Bulgaria is a very rich cultural country. They have all the, what do you call that? They still have the excavation until today from the remnants of the past, and they're old cultural country. So when they respect you, when they know that your country is from that same level of what do you call that? Apa namanya? Civilization, then they will respect you, and of course that will lead to other things. And it happens with my mission at the time. I managed to develop this because from the government, Pak Jokowi selalu mengingatkan bahwa economy, investment is you know, number one. They don't think about cultural as important. We only have the culture, you know. We have the rich culture. We don't have the economy. We were trying to get it, but we through culture we can get that connection, you know, until you can lift that economy. And
that's actually very astounding, like 300% increase.
Yeah, 330% increase. Yes, wow. in the year of 2018. And so, but Jokowi also always said that, okay, when you are an ambassador, I mean, when you are representing the country, you have to be in the forefront. You know, you have to be in the forefront. How to do it? Well, the only way is through our rich culture. Okay, how can you be in the forefront if you are nobody, you don't have anything to offer and all that? So this work, you know, actually with my mission, I can do that, you know, to lift up our image of Indonesia. And he said, even if you don't get an investment, you know, sometimes he said, if we have to invest, we invest. Don't look like we're a poor country trying to look for, you know, like that. Trying to look for opportunities in the economy. If we have to invest, we can also invest. So we have to be in the forefront all the time. Indonesia. This is speaking about it.
Wow. Okay. That's a very interesting insight. Yes, Arnaud?
Yeah, I think I agree with Ibu Astari, because I think all the countries should be proud of their culture, their arts, and that's the how they can use the arts for diplomacy, because you can't be proud of being rich. You are rich when you have a beautiful culture and have beautiful artists who are show their integrity. And that's why we try to give as much countries, Asian countries as well, the possibility to show how proud they are on their what they can do.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
that's,
well
I think, the main thing, how to connect with each other.
Yeah, well said, Arnaud. You then will feel rich when you appreciate your own culture. That's very well said. I'm very aware of our timing. We still have another half an hour, so maybe I could move forward to my last question, and that would be, what is, to your experience and expertise, what is the current status of ASEAN voices in the global scene? Its importance, its influences, stuff like that. Please.
I don't really get your question.
So
Irma?
when we're talking about the ASEAN voices,
Yes.
the culture, the arts, our influence through diplomacy, through the arts and festival, how is it being perceived in the global scene? Is it seen as something important? Is it influencing other things to happen? Like we want to know, how is it being perceived outside of ASEAN?
I think lots of things grew. So how the West is looking at Asian countries, and maybe it's also due to prizes Asian films won. You know, the South Korean and also the pop music is, how do you call it? The Korean pop, K-pop. K-pop is starting to become very popular, and there is this Netflix series I don't watch, but it's very popular in Europe as well. So I think it's growing again and again and again. The power of the Asian countries.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Arnaud.
Yes, I agree with Arnaud. You know, we are very rich in culture so far. We are bigger popular wise. You know, our population is bigger than the whole Europe, I think. You know, of the Asian countries altogether, and K-pop is such an example that we can conquer the world with culture, and we have a lot. I was thinking that the Japanese singer who passed away, he was good, because there are a lot of Americans who are trying to imitate his songs in Japanese. What's his name again? Siapa? Bukan udah meninggal. He's already gone, but he can be our K-pop kind of, our Indonesian pop artist to be popularized throughout the world.
I-pop.
No. It's Indonesian, Japanese actually. So we should find artists like that can also promote Indonesia throughout the world. I think we can, because we are very rich. It's just only the time, that will come. So
what I think for us, the Tong Tong Fair, what is very important also, that the culture we show from Asia needs to always to have Asia in it. You know, not copies from Western cultures.
No,
You know, and of course there can be a fusion. For us, for our audience, the fusion is good, but talking about pride and being proud of your own culture, for me, it's important to show, like for myself, I do have Indonesian blood, to show that, mostly I wear batik. Today I'm not wearing batik, but to show, you know, my background. My parents come from Indonesia, and that's for all the countries. I think don't copy only the Western world. I don't know why. Why should you? You know, and
it's time. It's time that we should influence the world instead of copying. They don't have any culture like us, not as rich as us.
Like the Global South initiative, like the Global South initiative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody, I hear, we say, that's also one of the fusion things. My parents always said, het water is umop, the water is boiling. But umop is Javanese, no?
Umop, yes.
Okay.
I hear the kettle whistling.
Sound of a kettle.
Yeah.
Kettle
I don't know where.
Okay.
Maybe it's time for us to,
That's very interesting. We actually have a question from the participant. So I'm going to ask one question. Is there any language barrier in international festivals that you managed so far?
Okay, you want first? I don't know.
Wants to go first?
Oh, sorry. Well, most of the people speak English at our festival. Lots of people speak Indonesian. I speak Indonesian as well. Not fluently, but saya bisa bahasa Indonesia. But of course, I speak some French because people, guests from Vietnam, for instance, mostly they speak French instead of. So then we are looking for people who speak French, and I do understand French a little bit, and I talk French as well. But you know, for artists, for instance, we always connect, even without a language.
Without language, yes, exactly. This is what I was going to say. Yeah, language barrier is not important. You communicate through your body language. So, you know, you don't need to always be able to speak the language. I never spoke Bulgarian because it's so difficult. It has a Cyrillic, alphabetical, which I cannot have any time to learn. So what I did is I just learned how to sing Bulgarian, and I sang Bulgarian song at the end of my journey, and they appreciate that. Like that, so there's always a way.
Yeah, there's always a way. Lono Simatopang, I hope that answers your question. I guess we still have time for another question. So if I understand the question correctly, diplomacy through arts and culture can be geared towards internal audience as well as international audience. What is the influence of the festival? What is the influence of Tong Tong Fair Festival and the festivals in Bulgaria for your diplomacy? I guess this is sort of like quite similar to the things that we've discussed earlier, but maybe is there any other points that you want to express?
I think I'm sorry, Ibu Astari.
It's okay.
I think it's an ongoing thing, bringing people together. There will be more and more understanding. So our audience will meet each other from all ages and from all backgrounds. And what happened also, for instance, with a guitarist from Indonesia, from Hawaii, Makana, he was backstage and he listened to to Balawan, a Balinese guitarist. And then he told me, oh, I would love to go to Bali and to work with Balinese musicians. And then I said, well, You don't have to go to Bali. You can stay here and work together with these Balinese artists if you want. So then they joined already in The Hague. So Hawaii and Indonesia came together in The Hague, in Holland, at the Tong Tong Fair. So lots of countries can come together in another country. And I hope that can happen at the Jogja Festivals as well.
Yes, this is what I hope also, because I witnessed that also in Bulgaria at the time. There's a lot of connections, like what Arnaud said about connecting or joint forces between Indonesian and other countries that was there in Bulgaria. It happens a lot like that, the collaboration. It works. After all, diplomacy is an art too. Art of painting in the world, the painting colors to the world scene, it's like to the world canvas, I should say. So it's an art too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Diplomats should be artists as well, creative.
Yeah, they have to be creative. I think they are, though. Pak Puja was very creative because he is very creative, I suppose, because he's very rich. He's very talented, and also interested a lot in the arts of Bali.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And on top of that, lots of humor.
Yeah, a sense of humor, exactly. Yeah, I'm still in connection with him. I will tell him that I met you and you told me about him dancing Balinese together at Tong Tong, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. So I think we've have quite an interesting and sort of broad range of discussion this afternoon. We talk about how Ibu Astari's work in Bulgaria trying to promote Asian countries through arts and culture and through in the form of a festival, yearly festival, and with Arnaud and Tong Tong Fair to promote Asian sort of culture, food, and perspective, and the smell, sort of like all the senses in one area, which is very interesting. And we also touch a little bit between the gap between arts and culture being important and important part of developing a society, but then also how these arts and culture is actually like a way to build trust and connection and thus create business opportunities, more activities going on between the two countries or more countries. And I think it explains, how important artists, festivals, and then governments to then work together.
Yes.
So before we sort of move to the end of our session, I don't see any other question from the participants. Maybe I could give Ibu Astari and Arnaud a last chance to sort of express anything you want to say.
I would say that if you do something, do it 100%, in any field, I guess, in whatever field it is, in art, culture, anything. If you do 100%, then you get there.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful words, Ibu Astari. I think what I would like to tell all the participants and you, Irma and Ibu Astari, well, stay healthy, of course. We keep in contact, and for all the participants as well, and all the people working in culture and politics and in the hospitals and everywhere, do things always out of passion.
Yes, passion, love and passion.
Yes.
Love and passion.
With you, Arnaud.
Yes. That
I
is
hope
something that
to
is
meet
very
you
important.
in person.
Yes, I wish I could meet you in person too, Pak Arno.
Yeah.
It seems
Please
to be
come
very
by
interesting.
also in the Netherlands.
Yes, yes, I will. I miss Netherlands. I used to go
You've
there
been
often.
there.
Yeah, of course. In my earlier days, you know, I go bicycle riding in the Hague because my own was the head of immigration at the time. So I went from London to every holidays. I go to Holland to stay with them in the Hague.
Well, everybody who is now participating, and you, of course, Irma and Ibu Astari, please contact me if
Yes,
you
I
are
will.
in the Netherlands.
Sure.
And
Will
of course,
do.
I hope to see you in Indonesia.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great.
So-
I know.
Before we close and before I give my closing statement from the organizer, I think it's picture time. Say cheese, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, it's done, I
Okay.
think. Great. Okay. So thank you so much, Ibu Astari, Arnold, for the
Thank you.
interesting conversation and discussion this afternoon. It's very insightful to know your works and how you manage to promote Indonesia and Asia in your respective countries. And despite the pandemic, you're still doing this. You're still doing all that to promote arts and culture and to hopefully provide and build a better society through arts and culture where people from
Yes.
different backgrounds can actually meet and collaborate. I think that's sort of the key word, unity in diversity. Yes,
Yes.
that's true. I was trying to
Unity
remember,
in
was it
diversity.
correct?
Thank you, Irma. Thank you,
Thank you so
Heripema.
much.
Everybody
Thank
who
you so
Thank
much,
you.
are here.
everyone. So, dear participants, we also would like to remind you that tomorrow we will have the Symposium number 3, Ecosystem and Market Festival at 10 a.m. There would also be a talk show called Virtual Reality at 1 p.m. and another talk show called the Indonesian Festival Landscape at 4 p.m. For
Great.
further information, please visit our website at www.jogjafestforumexpo.com. I will repeat that, www.jogja with a J, jogjafestforumexpo.com, and on the Instagram at Jogja Festivals. So with that being said, again, thank you so much, Ibu Astari. Thank you, Arnold. Thank you, dear participants, for your attendance. It was a very interesting discussion in the afternoon, and I hope you will visit all of the talk shows and the symposium in Jogja Festivals Forum and Expo in the next coming days. Thank you so much, and stay healthy and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.